All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so last time we went through, we started lesson 5, chapter 5, Adawsul Khamis. Okay, we read it a few times, and inshallah ta'ala, today we'll go through it line by line. All right, as is normally the case, before we go through it, we'll read it again, just to refresh our memories as to what we are speaking of or speaking about in this lesson. All right. All right, so if everybody has it in front of them, we'll start Ad-Darsul Khamis. Ad-Darsul Khamis. So I'll read it first. Please follow in your text, in your books, or you can follow on screen as well. All right. After I read the whole thing, then we'll go over it again. I'll read and then you all can repeat after me. Okay? So we're going to read it once where you're just listening, and then the second time is where you will read it after me, inshallah ta'ala. Bismillah. Ad-Darsul Khamisu. Ad-Darsul Khamisu. المدرس من فتح باب الفصل من فتح باب الفصل حامد أنا فتحته أنا فتحته المدرس ومن فتح النوافذ ومن فتح النوافذ. If you're joining it, we will say ومن فتح النوافذ. علي أنا فتحتها أنا فتحتها. المدرس من كسر هذا المكتب من كسر هذا المكتب. أأنت كسرته يا هاشم أأنت كسرته يا هاشم. هاشم لا إني ما كسرته لا إني ما كسرته. المدرس رجع زكريا وهمزة وعثمان وهمزة وعثمان من مكة. Again, رجع زكريا وهمزة وعثمان من مكة. حامد لا ما رجعوا ما رجعوا. عباس عباس يا أستاذ يا أستاذ. خرج الطلاب خرج الطلاب الجدد وذهبوا إلى المدير وذهبوا إلى المدير. المدرس أفهمت الدرس يا طلحة أفهمت الدرس يا طلحة. طلحة نعم فهمته جيدا نعم فهمته جيدا. المدرس أكتبت الأجوبة يا فيصل أكتبت الأجوبة يا فيصل. فيصل لا ما كتبتها لا ما كتبتها. المدرس لماذا لماذا. فيصل لأنني ما فهمت الأسئلة لأنني ما فهمت الأسئلة. المدرس: أحفظت سورة الفجر يا إبراهيم؟ أحفظت سورة الفجر يا إبراهيم؟ إبراهيم: نعم حفظتها. نعم حفظتها. وحفظت سورة التين أيضا. أيضا or أيضا. So Ibrahim says, نعم حفظتها وحفظت سورة التين أيضا. Right. So I know last time we went through it briefly, or we went through it somewhat. So we're going to go through it again. But before we go through it, I'm going to read it one more time, and I want you all to say it after me. So line by line, and as we normally do, say it after me. All right? Bismillah. الدرس الخامس المدرس من فتح باب الفصل حامد أنا فتحته. المدرس ومن فتح النوافذ ومن فتح النوافذ. Please remember here the alif and lam is silent because the noon is one of the sun letters. So when you have a sun letter, alif lam, the lam becomes silent. The alif here is hamzatul muwassal, so it's silent, so there's something before it. In this case, we go straight from the ha to the noon, right? Fatahan nawafida. علي أنا فتحتها. أنا فتحتها. المدرس ومن كسر هذا المكتب ومن كسر هذا المكتب أأنت كسرته يا هاشم؟ يا هاشم أأنت كسرته يا هاشم؟ هاشم لا إني ما كسرته. لا إني ما كسرته. مدرس المدرس رجع زكريا وهمزة وعثمان من مكة. Again. رجع زكريا وهمزة وعثمان من مكة. أحمد حامد لا ما رجعوا. لا ما رجعوا. عباس يا أستاذ خرج الطلاب. So join it. We're going to say خرج الطلاب. خرج الطلاب الجدد. Joining خرجت الطلاب, then join الطلاب to الجدد. So we say خرج الطلاب الجدد وذهبوا إلى المدير. وذهبوا إلى المدير. المدرس أفهمت الدرس يا طلحة؟ أفهمت الدرس يا طلحة؟ طلحة نعم فهمته جيدا. فهمته جيدا. المدرس أكتبت الأجوبة يا فيصل؟ أكتبت الأجوبة يا فيصل؟ Join it to the lamb. So أكتبت الأجوبة. فيصل لا ما كتبتها. لا ما كتبتها. المدرس لماذا؟ فيصل لأنني ما فهمت الأسئلة. لأنني ما فهمت الأسئلة. المدرس أحفظت سورة الفجر يا إبراهيم؟ أحفظت سورة الفجر يا إبراهيم؟ إبراهيم نعم حفظتها. وحفظت سورة التين أيضا. نعم حفظتها. وحفظت سورة التين أيضا. Alright, so we're gonna go through the lesson again. So the conversation between the teacher and some of the students in class, right? Remember, we have started, either last lesson or the lesson before we started, looking at the verbs. So look out for the verbs here and how they are used in the context of this conversation, right? The verbs. So the first question the teacher asked, Man fataha bab al-fasli? Who opened the door of the classroom, or the classroom door? Right? Notice here, all the verbs we're using is what tense? Past tense or present tense? So far, it's only past tense that we are coming across, right? We haven't started the present tense yet. I know we did it many, maybe months or years ago. We went through the conjugation of it, right? But we haven't met it in these exercises as yet, all right? The present tense. So what we are dealing with here so far, the previous couple lessons and this lesson is the past tense. Past tense, okay? So the root word for this verb is fataha. This first line, fataha. These are the three root letters for this verb, right? And we said when it's in the root form like this, with the three letters, it refers to what? The singular third person masculine, right? Singular third person masculine. Right, so man fataha bab al-fasli, who opened. So fataha literally means he opened. Right? If you use it like this, you would say who opened. You won't say who he opened. You say who opened. Alright? So man fataha bab al-fasli, who opened bab al-fasl, the classroom door. Right? Hamid replies and says, Ana fatahtuhu, I opened it, right? Ana fatahtuhu. As we said last week, he could have said fatahtuhu, and it would have been a complete sentence, right? So if you say fatahtuhu, then we have Verb, we have the fa'il, which is the verb. We have the fa'il, which is the doer of the verb. And we have the maf'ul bihi, which is the object of the sentence, or the thing that is being acted upon. Right? In this case, we are speaking about the door of the classroom. So that's the object, right? So the verb, if we take out the ana, and we just left with this alone, right? We have fataha, which is the verb to open. Then you have the tu at the end here, or rather in the middle, the tu, ta, dhamma, tu. And this is the pronoun, attached pronoun, which represents the fa'il, or the doer of the verb. Right? In this case, it is Hamid, because this is first person singular. Right? Fatahtu, first person singular. So Hamid is saying, I opened. So verb is fataha, doer of the verb is the tu, and the who here is the attached pronoun referring to the door of the classroom. You all see that? So this, what looks like one word here, fatahtuhu, fatahtuhu, this is actually one verb and two attached pronouns. Two attached pronouns. The first one is the doer of the verb, and the second one is the object of the sentence, or the thing that is being acted upon, or the thing that is being opened in this case, which is the door. Or we should say the thing that was opened, because it's past tense, right? So fatahtu who, verb, doer of the verb, and the object, right? Things being acted upon. Good. The Mudaris continues. وَمَنْ فَتَحَ النَّوَافِذَ وَمَنْ فَتَحَ النَّوَافِذَ. And who opened the windows. Notice here, it's plural, okay? So the word for window in Arabic is nafidatun, with a ta marbuta at the end. Nafidatun. The plural is nawafil. Nawafil. Okay, so you have it's definite here because it's speaking about a particular set of windows, which is the windows in the class, of course. So the teacher is asking, who opened the windows? Who opened the windows? And the alif lam there, right? Nawafida. Good. Now here we have the verb, right? Fataha. And we also have an-nawafida. Right? An-nawafida is the object of the sentence, or in Arabic we say the maf'ul bihi. Now we said the maf'ul bihi is a noun, right? And it takes what case? What is the case of the maf'ul bihi? It is normally in case of nasb, right? Or it is mansub, right? Anything in the case of nasb is called mansub. Remember nouns, just to pause here a little bit and refresh our memories. Any noun, any common noun in Arabic, right, has four characteristics, right? One, gender, either masculine or feminine, right? The definiteness, either is definite or indefinite, right? Its number could be either singular, dual, or plural. Singular, dual, or plural. And then the last thing is the case. What case is it? Is it nominative, accusative, genitive? Or in Arabic we say marfu, mansub, or majrur, mansub, marfu, mansub, majrur. Nominative, accusative, genitive. Right? So just to refresh our memory there. Right? So don't forget that these are basics that we're building upon. These four characteristics of any noun. So any noun you pick out, anywhere in the Quran or Hadith, you can analyze it like this. Is it a masculine or feminine noun? Is it definite or indefinite? And why? Is it singular, dual, or plural? And why? And is it nominative, accusative, or genitive? What is the case? And the case of it is determined, as you said, where it occurs in the sentence, whether it is the doer of the verb or the thing being acted upon. This governs the case of the word, right? And we said each of the cases, each of the three cases, there are signs of it. There are signs of it being in each of the three cases, right? sign is normally witnessed on the last letter of that word. Some cases is the second to last letter, like if you have the aleph or the ya in the case of the dual, or the wa or the ya in the case of the sound masculine plural. But normally, other than that, and other than a few other cases, we look at the vowel on the last letter and we know if it's nominative, accusative, or genitive. Nominative normally carries the dhamma on the last letter, accusative normally carries the fatha on the last letter, and the genitive normally carries the kasra on the last letter. In this case, we have, so that was a quick sidebar there, just to refresh our memories. So we see here, we have the word an-nawafida. It has a fatha on the last letter. So based on what I just said, what case is this word? Anybody? Huh? Accusative or nasb is mansub, right? Why is it mansub in a sentence? Anybody? All right, it's mansub because it is what is being acted upon. Is the fataha is the verb, right? The do of the verb is not written, is not expressed, but is understood, right? So when you say fataha, said he, it means he upon, right? So here it is, what is called damir mustatir, or the hidden pronoun, right? Damir mustatir. Mustatir comes from sitar. Sitar or satara means hide, right? So um, mustatir means it's hidden, right? It's hidden. So fataha and nawafida. So here the nawafida, it is the object of the sentence or the maf'ul bihi, and therefore it is mansub in case of nas. All right. Going on again, Ali answers, Ana fatahtuha. Ana fatahtuha. Right. Anybody want to analyze this word and let me know what is what? Fatahtuha. Based on what we said before. Huh? I open. I open what? No. Remember is Windows. I open them, right? So analyzing to know what is what in that sentence there. It's all one word, or looks like one word, but how you break it up. Just like I did before, with the fatahtuhu. Fataha is what? What kind of word? The verb, right? Right. Anybody else? The try? You know, whole bihi is the ha, which refers to what? Windows and nawafida. All right. And why is it ha?
It refers to the window.
Right. It refers to the windows, right? It refers to the windows. So why is it ha and not who
So
or
windows
whom
is a
or
feminine word.
hunna?
So the windows are feminine word.
Windows are feminine, right? So plural. Remember, it's plural of windows. So it's plural and it's inanimate or غير عاقل. غير عاقل. So plural of غير عاقل is treated as single feminine. So that's why we say ha and not hunna, right? Hunna would refer to plural feminine عاقل. غير عاقل as without sense, right? You would use singular feminine, right? So that's why we use the ha here, right? So fatahtu, and the two here would be the fa'il, the doer of the verb, right? Al-Mudarris, من كسر هذا المكتبة. من كسر هذا المكتبة. Good. So we have here kasara is the verb, right? You have the do of the verb is damir mustatir is a hidden pronoun, right? And the object of the sentence is hada and al-maktaba, right? So hada and al-maktaba is, this is what you call, I think this video is badal. Let me check it in here, but this basically, technically speaking, the doer or the object of the sentence will be the word hada, right? But this is mabni, this doesn't change. Case, right? Is what they call indeclinable, right? So man kasara hada, who broke this, right? So then this now, al-maktaba is clarifying what do we mean by this. What is it this we're talking about? It is al-maktaba, the desk, okay? So that is why the maktaba carries the fatha, right? So then nobody replied, the teacher. So he continues, he asks a follow-up question. Anta kasartuhu ya Hashim? Somehow or the other he suspects it's Hashim, right? So I don't know why you call it Hashim. So he said, did you break it, Hashim? Oh Hashim. Anta. So the first Hamza here is to ask the question, right? Remember that? We did that a lot. And then the second Hamza is part of the word Anta. Anta. Kasarta. Who? Kasarta. Who? So all the time we had Fatahtuhu. Fatahtuhu. Fatahtuha. Right? Here we have Fatahta. Who? Right? The who here. So we have two, again, two attached pronouns, the ta and the who. Ta and the who. Right? So the first one, of course, is the doer of the verb. Attached pronouns, the doer of the verb. The second one is the maf'ul bihi, which is the who, right? Is the object of the sentence, right? So the teacher is asking, did you break it, O Hisham? Right? Kasarta. So here instead of saying two, I open, it's saying kasarta. You broke. You broke. Who? It. You broke it. Right? Anta kasartuhu ya Hashim. Did you break it, O Hashim? So Hashim defends himself one time and he says, La inni ma kasartuhu. No, verily I. Ma kasartuhu, did not break it. Again, you have the same composition of the verb, attached pronoun, and next attached pronoun, right? Kasartu, who? Same thing is met higher up, right? Well, the same combination. Kasartuhu. So we said before that this ma here is what we call ma nahia or ma nafia. It negates what comes after it, right? Ma kasartuhu. Ma kasartuhu. I did not break it. I did not break it. And he emphasizes it by using the inna, which you said is an emphatic particle. It emphasizes the statement after it, right? So he didn't say ma kasartuhu. He said inni, verily, or for sure, I didn't break it. All right? La inni ma kasartuhu. Verily, I did not break it. Al-Mudarris, again, he starts the question with the Hamza, and then he uses the verb raja'a. Raja'a. Raja'a, did. Now here we have the verb raja'a, which we said before is a singular, masculine, third person form of the verb. Right? Remember that. Singular. Remember that. Singular, third person, masculine. Right? We said last week that if a sentence begins with a verb, so you have a verbal sentence, then once you beginning the sentence with the verb, thus making it a verbal sentence, then that verb only has to match the subject by the gender. It doesn't have to match it by number and so on. Right? So even though the subject of the sentence or subjects of the sentence is singular, dual, or plural, once it is a verbal sentence that begins with the verb, then you use the singular form of the verb. Right? If the subject is masculine, then you use the masculine form, in this case, raja'a. If it's feminine, then you use the feminine form, which is raja'at. We add the ta with the sukun at the end. Alright? So raja'at. This case is dealing with masculine, so we say raja'a. So just note that if it's starting with the verb with respect to subject verb agreement, when you have that in English too, subject verb agreement. So subject must match the verb in the gender and so on. In this case, it just has to match. Once you put in the verb first, then it just has to match in terms of gender, not number, not necessarily to match with number. Right? That's if the condition what? What's the condition? That the verb comes first. That the verb comes first in the sentence. Right? So that's why we have here raja'a, singular verb, but we're dealing with three subjects here. Right? فاعل is Zakaria وحمزة وعثمان. All of these are the subject of the sentence, subjects of the sentence, right? So the teacher is asking, did Zakaria, Hamza, and Uthman return? Raja'a means to return or to come back, right? So did Zakaria, Hamza, and Uthman come back min Makkata, from Makkah? Did they come back from Makkah? Right? That was the question. So the word min, what sort of particle is that? What does it mean? Min. Hmm? From. Right. So in Arabic, what kind of particle is it? So harf jar. Harf jar. Okay. So harf jar. Harf jar normally makes the word after it come in the case of jar. And we said before that the case of jar normally has kasra on the last letter as an indicator of it being in the genitive case or the case of jar. Right? You see, normally has the kasra on the last letter. But this word here has a fatha. Anybody know why? Why is it not min makkati? Why is it min makkata?
Because it coming off a preposition, right?
This is one of the words as mamni mina sarf.
Right, correct. So it's one of the words that are mamnu' min as-sarf. Mamnu' min as-sarf, right? Which we said those words that are mamnu' min as-sarf, we did it in I think the second to last or third to last lesson in the first book. Right, and we did a whole list of types of words that are mamnu min as-sarf. And these words we said cannot take tanween and it cannot take kasra. Okay, so it cannot take tanween and it cannot take kasra. So no tanween kasra, no single kasra, no tanween dhamma, no tanween fatha. So the only vowels you can take is dhamma, and single fatha. Right? So if it's in the case of rough or nominative, it takes the dhamma, single dhamma, right? If it is in the case of nasb or jar, it takes the single fatha. Okay, that is these words that are mamnu min as-sarf, right? Good. Next line. Hamid answers, La ma raja'u. La ma raja'u. Note here the difference in the verb. Before, when the teacher asks and he used the verb to start the sentence, he used, as we said just now, the singular form. Because it starts with the verb, right? Raja'a. right? However, here, Hamid is replying, putting the verb towards the end. So he said, Ma raja'u. They did not return. They did not return. In this case, the verb raja'a, it doesn't need a maf'ul bihi. Remember we said in verbal sentences, you have two components you must have, and sometimes depending on the verb, type of verb, you would add the third component, which is the maf'ul bihi, right? So you must have the fa'il, and sometimes you will have an object, which is the maf'ul bihi. In this case, you have no maf'ul bihi, so you just have the verb and the doer of the verb, the fa'il and the fa'il. Okay, so here we have raja'a is the verb, and the attached pronoun, the waw, here is the doer of the verb, which is the fa'il, which refers back to the three individuals here, right? Zakaria, Hamzatu, and Uthman. Okay, so this is the form of the third person masculine plural form of the past tense verb, right? Pause here. Any questions? Anybody confused? All right, so let's go through again. This one, Abbas asking the teacher, Ya Ustad, kharaja tullabul juludu. That's the, again, we have another example of the sentence beginning with the verb. So therefore we use a single form, kharaja. Kharaja, we have the word at-tullab, which is the plural, right? So it's a plural verb referring to students. And then we have the adjective, which has to agree with the verb in the case, number, gender, and so on, right? So al-juludu, it's plural to match the at-tullab. So Abbas is saying, kharajat tullab al-judud, that the new students left. The new students left. وَذَهَبُوا, and wa means and. ذَهَبُوا, they went. إِلَى الْمُدِيرِ, to the principal. They went to the principal. So look at the difference in the noun, in the verbs here. Here, when you start the sentence, referring to the students, you use the singular form of the verb. But afterward, when you use in the middle of the sentence, when you're referring back to these people here, the tullab, the students, you use the third person plural form of the verb. You don't use the singular anymore, right? Because this comes after the subject here. So we said we use the singular when the verb comes before the subject, but we use the plural when the verb comes after the subject. Of course, given that the subject is plural, right? That's only when this discussion will come up. Right, Al-Mudarris, أفهمت الدرس يا طلحة? أفهمت الدرس يا طلحة? Did you understand? So fahima means to understand, to comprehend. Right? So he asked a question starting with the hamza on the aleph there. Fahimta ad-darsa. So here we see the sentence. Fahimta ad-darsa. So fahima is the verb. Ta here is the doer of the verb, attached pronoun, and the ad-darsa is the maf'ul bihi. That is why we see a fatha on the scene. Fatha on the scene because it is the object of the sentence, right? The maf'ul bihi, right? Who is he speaking to? Ya Talha. Speaking to Talha. Talha replies, Na'am, yes. Fahimtuhu jayyidan. I understood it very well. I understood it good or very well. Right? So we have the same construction here. Verb, doer of the verb being the attached pronoun, and then the object of the sentence, the attached pronoun again. Fahimtuhu. To, doer of the verb or the file, who, the maf'ul bihi or the object. Right? Mudarris asking a question again. Teacher asks a question. Akatabta katabta al ajwibata ya Faisal. Akatabta al ajwibata ya Faisal. So again he asks the question with the hamza. Start the question. Then you have the verb kataba. Kataba, kaf, ta, ba, kataba. We met that many times in class. And again here, right? Kataba means to write, to write. Katab, ta. Again, the attached pronoun ta with the fatha in it refers is the file here. You do have the verb, right? And the attached pronoun refers to it means you, right? So did you on write? Did you write al ajwibata? Right? So this is plural for al jawab. Jawab is his answer. So al ajwiba means the answers. The answers. Okay. Did you write the answers? Yeah, Faisal. Did you write the answers? Yeah, Faisal. Faisal says la ma katabtuha. Ma katabtuha. How do we know this is katabtuha and not katabtaha? How do we know it's katabtuha? Katabtu is I. Katabta is you. So Faisal say la ma katabtuha. Ma katabtuha. Why is it katabtuha and not katabtaha? Hmm? So the two, the attached pronoun to means I did that object, right? I did that action, sorry. I did that action. Ta means you did that action, all right? So katabtu, I wrote. Katabta, you wrote. Masculine, singular, right? Katabtu adars, katabta adars. Katabtu dars, I wrote the lesson. Katabta adars, you wrote the lesson. So that's the two and the ta, right? المدرس لماذا why لماذا why فيصل لأنني because I لأنني because I ما فهمت ما فهمت I did not understand الأسئلة I did not understand the questions الأسئلة is the questions, okay? I did not understand the questions لأنني ما فهمت الأسئلة because I did not understand the questions. المدرس حفظت سورة الفجر يا إبراهيم did you memorize سورة الفجر O Ibrahim Ibrahim says نعم حفظتها حفظتها so we see here again حفظت and حفظت right? What does حفظت mean? Who memorized? I or you? حفظت.
I,
You. And حفظت. I memorize. And what to memorize? Ha. What is the ha referring to here? Surah. Why use ha and not who? Huh? Yeah, the surah is what? Why is it ha and not who? Huh? Surah is what? So that means what? What does it mean? Masculine. With the ha at the end. Where's the ha? Anybody else? Why is it
Inanimate
ha?
object.
Huh?
Is an inanimate object.
All right. No, we're speaking about one thing. So why is it ha and not who? So inanimate will come in if it's plural, right? If it's singular inanimate, then you could still use the who or the ha. You understand? Depending if it's masculine or feminine. All right. So when you talk about the door was inanimate, but it was singular, masculine. So we use what? We use the who, right? Fatahtu who. Even though it's inanimate, it is singular, masculine. So we use the singular masculine pronoun, right? If you go to plural inanimate, then we look at singular feminine, right? If it's singular, we could still use masculine or feminine. In this case, the surah is singular, all right? But it's feminine because why? It ends with a tarmabuta. Surata, with a tarmabuta at the end. Remember we said all words are masculine. All nouns are masculine except those that are feminine. You understand? All are masculine except those that are feminine. And which are the ones that are feminine? The ones that have categorized as feminine. Okay, those that are naturally feminine, meaning words like referring to mother, sister, all right, daughter. These are all things that are naturally feminine or feminine names, right? Zainab, right? Amina too, and so on, right? Fatima too. All of these are feminine names. They are feminine. Pairs, parts of the body that are in pairs. These are feminine, right? Then you have other words which end with Tarmabuta. We said 95 to 99% of these words are, once they end with Tarmabuta, they are feminine, with a few exceptions, right? Like Hamza too ends with a Tarmabuta, but it's masculine because it's the name of a is a male name, all right? Masculine name. So we see here the surah ends with a Tarmabuta, therefore we know it's feminine. It's feminine, all right? So the pronoun that we would use to refer to it, we would use a feminine pronoun. So that's why we're using the ha here. All right? And not the who. Right? We would also use the ha, note this carefully, we would also use the ha, the same ha, if it was more than one surah. So if it is, you're talking about 3 or 4 or 5 surahs, right? You would also use the ha. In this case, you would translate it as them. I memorized them. In this case, they translated as I memorized it, referring to one surah. Okay? So Hafiz tuha can be translated as I memorize it or I memorize them, depending on what it's referring to. In this case, the ha is referring to one surah, so therefore we translate it as it. You understand? So Ibrahim says, Naam hafiztu ha. Yes, I memorized it. وحفظت سورة التين أيضا. And I memorized Surah At-Tin أيضا. Also, I memorized Surah Tin also. Alright, good. This is the end of the lesson here. Any questions before we go into the exercises? All right, so let us look at the exercises briefly. تمارين exercises. واحد أجب عن الأسئلة الآتية. أجب is the command form of the verb. Answer. Answer the or answer An means upon or about. In this case, we use ajib an. This is the pairing of the verb to this particle here. Al-as'ila, we met this word higher up in the lesson. As'ila is plural of su'al. Su'alun is one question or a question, and the plural is as'ila, as'ilatu, al-as'ilatu. Ajib an al-as'ilata al-atiyah, the following questions. Answer the following questions, right? أجب عن الأسئلة الآتية. Answer the following questions. واحد. أين ذهب الطلاب الجدد؟ أين ذهب الطلاب الجدد؟ Where did the new students go? Where did the new students go? نعم. أين ذهب الطلاب الجدد? Where did the new students go? Anybody? ذهبوا إلى المدير. ذهبوا إلى المدير. اثنين. أفهم طلحة الدرس؟ أفهم طلحة الدرس؟ أفهم طلحة الدرس؟ أفهم. What is فهم? Huh? To understand, right? So the question is the question being asked فهم طلحة الدرس. Did Talha understand the lesson? نعم. فهم الدرس جيدا. Right? So Talha replied, if he's replying for himself, he would say نعم فهمته جيدا. But if you're talking about him, we can't say فهمته, because that means I understand. He's talking about Talha. We have to use Fahima. Just as we use Fahima here, he understood. Right? So you say أفهم طلحة الدرس؟ نعم فهم طلحة الدرس. Yes, Talha understood the lesson. And you could add on جيدا. He understood it. جيد. Okay? ثلاثة. أي سورة حفظ إبراهيم؟ أي سورة حفظ إبراهيم? Which surah did Ibrahim حفظ? What حفظ means again? Memorize. Which surah did Ibrahim memorize? Anybody? حفظ سورة الفجر وسورة تين أيضا. So you memorize Surah Fajr and Surah At-Tin. Last question. أربعة. من فتح النوافذ؟ من فتح النوافذ? That's the second question the teacher asked in the lesson. من فتح النوافذ؟ فتح حامد علي فتح النوافذ. Right. Ali opened the windows. Right. All right. So true or false questions here. ضع هذه العلامة. Correct. أمام الجمل الصحيحة. وهذه العلامة the X أمام جمل غير الصحيحة. Right. So first one. فهم علي أو فتح علي الفصل. Ali opened the classroom. صحيح or غير صحيح? غير صحيح with the X, right? Next one. ما رجع زكريا وهمزة وعثمان من مكة. Right? Ma, we said, negates the verb after it, right? So raja'a means to return. So ma raja'a means did not return, right? Raja'a return. Ma raja'a did not return. All right? Yeah? ما رجع زكريا وهمزة وعثمان من مكة. صحيح أو غير صحيح؟ صحيح. Next one. ما كتب الفصل ما كتب فيصل الأجوبة لأنه ما فهم الأسئلة. Faisal did not write the answers because he because he ما فهم الأسئلة. He did not understand the أسئلة. What is أسئلة? Questions. All right. So he did not write the answers because he did not understand the questions. صحيح أو غير صحيح؟ صحيح. لأنني ما فهمت الدرس. Right? الأسئلة. Last one. 4. ما كتب فيصل الأجوبة لأن قلمه مكسور. He did not write the answers because his pen was maksur. Where's maksurun? His pen was maksur, broken, right? So we have kasara, maksurun. Kasara, remember in the passage, وَمَنْ كَسَرَ هَذَا الْمَكْتَبَ. Who broke this desk? Kasara means to break. Right? So here, from kasara, we get mak. Surun. Maksurun means to be broken. Something that is broken. Alright? So, ma kataba Faisalun al-ajwibata li'anna qalamahu maksurun. He did not write the answers because his pen was broken. Sahih or ghayru sahih? Huh? Sahih or ghayru sahih? Anybody?
غير صحيح.
Ghayru sahih. Nah. He didn't write the lesson because his pen was broken. He didn't write the lesson because he didn't understand the questions. Okay? Good. So it's 4:38 now. We'll close off now. Any quick questions? Next week, inshallah, we go more in depth into this chapter here, and we explain some of the concepts in a little more detail, inshallah. All right. Any quick questions? Inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Surah Al-Asr, Ad-Duha Kafara. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات تواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته